Welcome back to the Adventures of Sassy Bob. Welcome back to the Adventures of Sassy Bob. Let's go ahead and boot up our game and see where we left off here. So what we worked on in the last tutorial is we sort of wanted to see how quickly we could create a new character. And it went actually pretty fast, although you are starting to get this sort of Children of the Corn kind of atmosphere here with everybody kind of facing to the right. So let's go ahead and let's face Jackie Booyah somewhere else here. So we've got Kingdom Creation, Jackie Booyah. Let's set the let's also include some code for setting the direction of these characters in here as well. So let's, for Fred Smith, let's do direction, change the direction. Let's change Fred's to down. That would be 0, 90, would be 90 degrees. And let's change a Jackie Booyah's to, let's copy this and change hers to look to the left. So that would be 180. Let's see how we did here. All right, good. He's facing down. She's facing to the left. Good. Very nice. And it still works. We can still talk to them and everything. That's great. Now what we want to do is we want to establish our first sort of dynamic sort of interaction here. And it's going to be in, I'm going to call it an unavoidable cutscene, but it's not really unavoidable. We're gonna include the ability to skip this cutscene, you know, for replayability issues. But it's going to be something where as soon as you boot up the game and Bob comes out of his bed and leaves for the first time, I want to make it so that if you touch the button at all, which means Bob position just has to change from what it is right here, you're going to get drawn into a cutscene by two NPCs over here. We're going to have a mother and a son. So let's go ahead and let's start creating them for now. I'm going to go to my kingdom layout here and go to townfolk, and I'm just going to quickly add another color here. I'm going to call this one light blue and go to my characters where they are. Okay, this is going to be light blue 0, right? And then I'm going to add another one here and call that light blue 1. And that's going to be with the eyes closed. There. And add one more here that's going to be light blue 2, which is eyes open. There we go. Okay, let's hit apply. Now let's go to Kingdom Creation and let's make these dynamic ones. I can still copy this here and just paste it in. And we're going to call this character here, come on, Jean Waldorf. Why not? Why the heck not. And I'm going to paste and make her son Henry Waldorf. And let's change these. Whoops, Jane Waldorf, no spaces. And I think I'm going to come back into this tutorial after I've changed all of these variables here. Okay, so what I did was I changed these variables up here, Jane Waldorf, and I missed one. Okay, I changed the animation color to light blue. Now when we go to dialogue creation here, we want to think about how we want to do this. Remember, there's going to be progressive dialogue going on here, right? So Bob will actually say something in return, and then Jane will say something back eventually, that kind of thing. So we've got to create multiple dialogue structure variables here. Now the question is, do we want to start backwards and then move away and then, you know, sort of, do we want to start at the end and then get to the beginning, or do we want to start at the beginning and get to the end? It makes a lot more sense to start with 0 and move our way up. Then we need to create a variable to hold that information. The reason why I'm struggling here a little bit is because there are multiple ways to do this. If you try to create a scene variable, okay, a scene variable, you'll lose the value of that variable when you leave the scene. Like if we go back into a house, Bob's house even, and you come back out, that scene variable is gone now, or it's different. So if we move, actually, I guess this is where we would want to keep track of this through a global variable. So let's do that then. Let's set up our stage here. You know what? Let's just create our characters for right now and get them lined up, and then we'll move on to the next stage in the next tutorial, because it might get a little bit complex. Okay, welcome back. So let me just go over here what I've changed. So I've changed all these variables in the Jane Waldorf to Jane Waldorf. Okay, changed her animation to light blue. Made sure I changed the name here to Jane Waldorf. I didn't really change the dialogue here other than to change the variable for it and the position variable for creating, and then the variable here and here as well. Now I did the same thing with Henry too. Changed the variables here, okay, to Henry Waldorf for all of these, right? And I don't think I missed any. I didn't change the dialogue yet or anything. Okay, so that's all good. All right, so let's talk about positioning of these characters here in our kingdom. I want these characters to be somewhere over here, and I'm going to use my X position of my sign to help me with that, and that's 457. I'm going to say let's say it's 458. I'm going to have the mother over here at 458. So let's go ahead and put that in Kingdom Creation for Jane. Okay, the y position, let's get our y position from the sign again. The y position is at 279, let's say 280, and that's minus, oh, I don't know, another, let's see, this is about 32 or 60, this is probably 64 or 32. Let's minus another 128 from, or let's add 128 to the y value of 280. So let's see, that would be 280, well, 280 plus 120 equals 400. I can do that one. All right, so let's move the y value here to 400 for Jane. Okay, and I want Jane facing this way to the child. Okay, so that would be 0, 90, 180. 180 for Jane. All right. Now Henry, I want Henry to be on the same plane as Jane, right? X value and Y value. X value will be more over here. Y value will be the same. So what's our X position of this? The house is 309. Let's go with that. Let's go with 309. So kingdom creation, I'm going to collapse this one. Did I say it was 309? Is that right? And this should be the same as Jane's 400. Okay, I want Henry facing his mother, so that would be 0. And I want to do something kind of fun here. I want to change the size of Henry and make him smaller. So let's do that. Let's see if we can do that here. Objects. That might be under sprite size. Look at that. Okay. Let's do the height. Let's half the value. So that's 18, half of 32. And let's also change the width. I'm sure we could just do scale, probably, and that would be fine, but I'll just do it this way. Of townfolk equal also 18, that'll have it. Let's see how we did here. Let's see if that actually shows up. We still have a lot of coding we've got to do to get this set up, but let's just see if we've got it on the screen set up correctly. All right, good. Good, very good. This is pretty much exactly where I want them to go, where I want them to be. And I want to get drawn in to a scene with them. Okay. I'm going to move him down half the width of this so that he's centered. So right now he's at the Y position of his mom here. If I add his width, half of his width, which is 18, so half will be 9. I'll add 9 to his Y position, and that should center him there. Aesthetically, that'll just look nice. So let's see, where's Henry being created? Y position is going to equal 409. Let's go ahead and check that out. Look at that, not bad, huh? Not bad. Okay, the last thing I want to do for this particular tutorial, now that we've created the characters here, I want to make sure that they don't always show up, actually. And for that, I'm going to need a trigger variable, right? Because once this scene is done, I think I'm going to have them exit the scene, and then they're done. They're not going to show up again. Even for this instance of 0 that we have, they're not going to show up again. So I need a way to make sure they aren't created once they've already been created once. So we'll do that by going to load game, scenes, kingdom, kingdom dialog, and now I want to create a new grouping here underneath, and we're going to have to keep track of dynamic interactions, right? So this one we might call Jane and Henry, and I'll add a sub event here and create the variable. Let me copy this. Create the variable Jane and Henry and make that equal to 0. Now when I go to kingdom creation, I want to make sure I'm going to add a sub event here. Where'd you go, sub event? There you are. I'm going to add a sub event here, or it's just going to get lost. Come on. There we go. I want to place both of these under my sub event that will only get triggered if this variable of Jane and Henry equals 0. Now, even though our instance is 0, this won't get created if Jane and Henry is equal to 1. Okay? And we'll stop there for right now because we still have a lot. We've got a code for this.